Hi, this is Terry Bach, and welcome to the It's My Time Now, How to Redesign Your Life on Your Terms. For women over the age of 50, it's often a time of awakening. It's like we're waking up out of this fog, and we're realizing now that it's my time now. You've been busy taking care of other people. Maybe you still are taking care of your job or your business, but you haven't been taking very good care of yourselves. So you might have had this dream earlier on in your life about what you thought you'd be doing at this stage, but you haven't done it yet. Or maybe it shifted for you. Or maybe you just don't have any idea what that next part of your life will look like yet. So I have invited some amazing experts on the topic of women over 50 and redesigning their lives on their terms. Now, each of our experts, as you know, will be talking about it from their own unique and specific point of view. So today I've invited Susan Davis as our expert. Now, Susan has had a lot of experiences. She is an experienced designer, marketing professional, website developer, professional book editor, and conversation radio, TV producer, and host. For her, being retired means re-inspired. And for her, work is play. So these days, Susan plays with chronologically gifted women, mostly women over 60 who are artists, writers, coaches, healers, small business owners, and emerging entrepreneurs, and helps them get comfortable online and in social media so that their awesome value is seen and their messages are heard. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, Terry. Thanks so much for having me here today.
Oh, thank you for being here. That's quite a list of things you've done and accomplished in your life.
It's been a long life.
That doesn't mean you accomplish a lot, though, does it? Necessarily. Yes. So how do you describe yourself? And what really lights you up? You've done a lot of different things in your life already.
Yeah, well, I actually came up with a less than 20-word description of myself because I thought it kind of encapsulated everything. And so I like to say I'm unabashedly and unapologetically a boomer hippie artist, co-creation outlier, story catcher, and Silicon Valley escapee. And I channel Guy Kawasaki and Terry Gross, and I have been for decades. People kind of say, well, what does that mean? And it really kind of encapsulates everything that I've done for the last 50 years. And what lights me up is being an artist. I really tapping into that place of creativity that I have had with me from day one.
Okay. Yes.
And co-creation lights me up. And story, looking at the world through story, and I capitalize that because story is a really important thing. And actually, technology lights me up. I love playing with tech.
Wonderful. You mentioned co-creating. So do you want to just say a little bit more about what that means?
Sure. When I look back on my entire life, and I look back all the way to when I was a kid, I love being part of a group. I love teamwork. I love playing together with other people. And even in the businesses, and I've been an entrepreneur for 50 years, and I've had many successful businesses in a variety of industries. And I look back at the successes, and I see that the successes all came from working with a variety of people. It wasn't me standing on a stage and, spouting
Right.
off wonderful things. That's not what was successful. It was co-creating, being part of something bigger than just me. And it was the same with my husband. Bob and I have been together for 50 years, 51 years now. And we co-created our family. We co-created businesses. We work together and play together, and we still have fun together doing
That's
things
great.
together. So that's what I look at co-creation as. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And so when you get a variety of people bringing their gifts to the table and giving what they have and getting what they need, you have a wonderful synergistic, I guess is the word, co-creative thing happening.
Okay. And it sounds like you use it throughout your whole life, in every area of your life, pretty much. That's great. So you're a boomer, as you mentioned, and you're working. You're working a lot. Or what are you currently doing?
Oh, a lot. and I will say, yes, I am working. I work probably 40 hours a week, at least, Monday through Friday, especially in my office. And I work, my business is the co-creation community. So what I do, though, is I work with, as you mentioned, chronologically gifted women creatives. And those are artists, writers, authors, coaches, women that have some wonderful gift that they have, some of them been doing for decades, and some who have been are doing something else that's creative right now, different than what they did as a career. Okay. And what I have seen with my women that I work with is that they are really great at what they're doing, but they are uncomfortable online and in social media. And so that's what I do for work. And it is play. I enjoy it so much that it's, I am really inspired, and the idea of being retired and sitting on the couch watching soap operas is not in my agenda.
Right. So. Doesn't sound like it. You have so much fun and energy, I have to say. So have you always been this energetic and fun? Or has your life always been that way?
It would be nice to say, oh yeah, always. I've had no problems in my life ever. Yeah. But that's not the case for any of us. I mean, really, right. If we all look at our life, we have ups and downs. And 10 years ago, I had probably the bottom of the downs. I mean, it was really awful. My husband and I lost our business. We had been in business for 25 years, and we went bankrupt. And it was a really bad kind of bankruptcy. Chapter 7, we lost business. We lost, it was actually 2. It was corporate chapter 7, and it was personal. And so with personal bankruptcy, we lost everything. I mean, it was like there wasn't one thing that was untouched except our house. And that was because at the point of filing bankruptcy, our house we owed as much as it was worth. Okay. That all changed, but at that point, that saved our house. We got to stay in our home. But it was a terrible, terrible time. I cried all the time. It was stress beyond belief. My parents died, both of them at the same time. My son was diagnosed with a really awful life-threatening illness. I mean, it was just like all at once,
Oh my
everything
gosh.
had been, came to a head. And I was 60 years old.
Oh,
And I had done, been in this business, designing and building people's homes in Silicon Valley for a long time. And that was my
yeah.
world. I mean, I really was, it was my life. And I was 60, and the idea of going out and applying for a job, I hadn't had a
Right.
job forever. I mean, my
Mm.
husband and I we still joke, we're chronologically, not chronologically, we are, well, we are that too, but we are chronically unemployable. I mean, when you've been an entrepreneur for as long as we have, it's not easy to get a
No,
job.
no.
And I was 60, and the
Yeah.
designers in the Bay Area were all in their 20s and 30s. So it was a scary time. I felt sick
Sure.
and scared and old, and it really could have been the end of me. But you know, I credit a lot to living in Silicon Valley. In the Valley, people either pivot or die. And
True.
it wasn't in my agenda to die. So it was like, okay, what can we do? How can I turn this around? And where can I go from here? And that, I really feel like my favorite dance is a pivot. And I've been accused of being Pollyanna for a long, long time. So being a perpetual Pollyanna and dancing the pivot, I opened up the most, really, that decade, my 60s was like
Yeah.
the best years of my life. It really was. And a lot of it I credit to being in Silicon Valley with that energy that is happening there and has happened there for the entire time I lived there, 40 years. And
Mhm.
also the whole idea that of co-creation,
Mm.
um, it's not all about me. It really isn't. And
Yeah.
coming out of that, being resilient and figuring out what to do next, it was like, okay, I've got a lot of tools in my toolbox. I've got a lot of toys in my toy box. I can
And
do this.
and I would add that your mindset also played a big part in that, because as you were saying, in Silicon Valley, and I lived there for almost 30 years, how did you word it, die or pivot?
Yeah.
And you didn't want to die. So, but it takes a mindset to be able to turn that around and not give up hope and see possibilities, even the possibilities to co-create with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely does. I think it's a big mindset thing. And I think
Yeah.
even the success of our business, our design build business, and the successes of every business I've had is, I would say, at least 80% mindset,
Right.
95% mindset. I think that the idea in Silicon Valley, fail forward, you hear that a lot. You hear about
Mm-hmm.
pivoting, you hear all
Right.
of this stuff. It is really mindset stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is knowing that innovation and creativity is a forward moving thing.
Right.
Change is a forward moving thing, and it's not something to be afraid of. It's something to embrace as being a positive force in your world. And that goes into mindset. It really does. It's how you perceive things that are happening in your world and how you perceive things that are happening in yourself, because we all change. I mean, I'm 70 years old now, and while I would love to think that I looked like I looked when I was 25, I don't.
None of
But
us do.
I kind of like
Anyway,
the way I look. And
yeah.
there's a lot of things about the way my acceptance of the way I look, which is mindset, that
Mhm.
is liberating. It is wonderful. And
Yes.
so again, I think everything comes down to mindset. And when we're talking about people our age group, which I over 50, or like I work
Right.
with mostly women over 60, and some
Mhm.
of them are in their 80s. And
Okay.
we are constantly growing and changing. And so, yeah, it is mindset. And that's why I like the idea of flipping the script. The
Right.
script is your own head trash. It really is.
Exactly, it is. Yeah.
And so flipping it around to how can we pivot this thing? How can we bounce this, how can we play with this idea that is running through our head? Because so often it's just that mind trash.
Yes. So I know that flipping I always want to say switch, but the script, flipping the script, which is quite a mouthful.
It is.
Can you share some of those with us? Like, what do you mean? Well, I know what you mean, but what does that look like?
Absolutely. I have so many of them. I really do. I've got like a whole long list, and they keep coming up because when I hear people listen to what other people are saying, either in person or in
Mhm.
social media, it's like, oh my goodness, can't you just kind of think of your
Right.
life a little differently and be happier? So I have a few that I can share today. And
Okay.
then I also
Yeah.
have more that I'm willing and excited about sharing too.
Okay.
So
Right.
um, one that I hear a lot, and I hear this from women who who are over 50. And I would
Mhm.
say it kind of starts when they're 50, and then it often gets worse. And I feel alone. I feel isolated,
Mhm.
adrift. I don't know what's happening in my life, or I feel invisible or ignored.
Okay.
People aren't whisk. There's not many cat calls anymore when
Right.
you walk by the
Right.
construction site.
True. Very
and
true.
and that can start some people thinking of going down that downward spiral if they feel
Mhm.
alone, isolated, invisible, and ignored. So I say flip that script to I am connected. And I like the I am form because that's
Mhm.
an affirmation. And
Right.
you can say that, you can run that through your head. You can do the trick of putting it on the mirror and saying it every morning. All of those are tools or toys to get you to flip the script. So if you flip it to I am connected, okay, what does connected mean? And I think, wow, we have this wonderful toy at our disposal called the internet. Why can't we use the internet to help us feel connected? And we say that word is
Mm.
connections. You have
Right.
connections on LinkedIn, you have connections on Facebook or whatever.
Right.
And social media is social. It is
Mhm.
social. It's how we use it that determines how it works for us. And so I really think that having a voice in social media and on the internet and connecting with people who have the same aligned values and passion
Okay.
and purpose, you attract them and they become connections. Then you can take those connections to relationships. And everything
Mhm.
in the world is about relationships, if business is all about relationships, your marriage or your partner in life is all about relationships. What you do with your
True.
kids and how you nurture and help them grow and the people they become is all about relationships. So I think that is a really important one. And also flipping the script to go from me, me, to
Okay.
we is a huge way to feel good about yourself and not feel alone. You can't be
Exactly.
alone when you're a we.
My question, Susan, is I love the idea of flipping the script because I think that's really powerful. How do you sometimes get people from their original script to be aware enough? Because sometimes when you're in it, you're really in it, and it would be difficult to flip the script without a little bit of awareness in the middle.
Absolutely. And I think especially when your script is I'm alone and
right.
I'm, you know,
yes. I'm
and you are
isolated
alone.
and yeah.
So it all goes back to my whole love of co-creation and bringing people together, working with other people, being social, but also when in my programs, when I'm working with the women who are in my programs, and I found this is true, it was true when I was teaching school, it's true when I work with my kids, it's all starts with your core values, where you have to identify what your, and I keep it simple, your three highest core values are, and really understand if those are your core values, whatever they are you living them? Is everything you do resulting in, you know, a manifestation of those core values? So that's sort of the first step. I have like 9 steps I lead people through, but that's the first step. And it really is about doing it in community. You can do this kind of work yourself, you can, but it's so much more powerful when you do it in community, when you
Plus
have
other people can kind of help you get unstuck where you are into the flipping your script.
exactly. And then too, listening to other people's stories, you realize that, hey, my story is very similar to that. They're suffering too from the same things, or vice versa. They're, you know, wow, their story is full of joy and positivity. And I've had experiences similar to that. Because honestly, in our lives, most of our lives, there's ups and downs. There's ups and downs. And so knowing that you know, that there's always going to be an up following a down. And
Right.
so
Right.
that's
And
part
just
of,
listening to other people, you don't feel so alone because you know that they're sharing some of that experience as well.
yeah, yeah.
Can
And
you you use the term core values? And I'm wondering if you could say more about like what are core values and some ideas of what some of those might be.
sure. Well, core values are your raison d'etre, why you're here. It is the line in the sand that you draw what you stand for. And I believe that we have personal core values, and we also have, if we're business people, which I am,
Right.
and I work with entrepreneurs a lot. And do your personal core values and your business core values have to be connected and aligned. They may be slightly different, but they're very much aligned. So one of my basic core values or highest core values is inclusion. it's really important to me to be inclusive and
Mhm.
to be non-judgmental. And so inclusion is one of my highest core values. It shows up in everything I do. And if I'm not being inclusive, or if I'm in a situation that is not inclusive, I know it. It just like, it's something wrong here. Creativity
Okay.
is another core value of mine.
Okay.
Thinking outside the box, uh, being innovative, and just getting into that very inner part of me that is creative. And that is it shows up in everything that I do.
Okay. Mhm.
And let's see, what are some other ones?
Integrity is a big one for me.
Yeah, integrity is all, and truth, being truthful. All of these things are, and they're, when I do the exercises or the games with the ladies that I work with,
Mhm.
and the kids too, you come up with a slew of them, like
Right.
a lot of them.
Right.
And there's ways that you can find them, and that's what's fun, is there's different games you can play to figure them out. And
Sure.
then you have to prioritize and really dig deep and figure
Yes.
out what are your top three.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
if you, at least with business, especially when you're working on a mission statement or a vision statement, or your messaging and marketing or all of that, if you've got too much to work with, too much is too much.
Right.
So three
Yes.
three
Three's enough.
really
Yes.
powerful ones is a good idea.
Right. Right. So, Susan, understand that you have a free gift for our audience. So would you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I actually would love to share more of these script flippers, flipping the script. You're right, that's hard to say.
It is hard to say.
It's fun to read, but it's hard to articulate.
Right.
So I have an ebook that is a whole bunch of these script flippers, or flipping the script. And
Okay.
so I have that available to the audience here, and I would love for everybody to get that. And
Absolutely.
I think you're going to facilitate that.
Yes, for the audience, just so you know, you just need to click on the button below this video and it'll take you right to Susan's free gift.
Perfect. And then there's also other things and that you will get or be invited to. If
Okay.
you want to come to the I have free Boomer Zoomer meetups twice a month that are wonderful, and we do really fun stuff, and it's a time to both learn as well as connect with other like-minded creative women, and it's just great. And so the Boomer Zoomer meetups are on the first and the third Friday of every month, and it's from 1 o'clock until 2:30 Pacific time. And so I totally invite everybody to come to those. You can sign up to get reminded on the Co-Creation Community website. And then I also have a special bonus that I would love everybody to take advantage of. I'm giving away $100. And you can spend it any way you want on any of the Co-Creation Community programs and services. And it's called Funny Money. So
Okay.
you can have some funny money. And
how do they
$100.
get to the funny money?
On the Co-Creation Community website,
Okay.
in the menu bar,
Okay.
I think it's on the More tab.
Okay.
You just scroll down and click on that and you've got a funny money $100 bill right there to spend however you want to spend it.
And I could probably get a link to that and just
yes,
send it
yes,
directly to, yes, I will.
absolutely.
We'll do that.
Absolutely.
Boy, you are very genius with your describing your names for things like Boomer Zoomer. I love that. And by the way, if you get on your email list, you get invitations to that because I'm on your email list.
Yes, yes. In fact, yes, I will actually send out reminders for the Boomer Zoomer meetup to anybody that gets that ebook. So that will be perfect. And yeah, you know, part of the fun of what I do is coming up with fun things to do and fun things to name things. You know, that's the fun part of marketing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Well, Susan, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed this.
Oh, good. Me too. I love to play.
Yes, like, I can tell. I can tell.
Like, what can I do now to play? So,
that's great.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome. Yes. And for the audience, I'd like to thank you also for being here and participating in It's My Time Now mini summit. So be sure you stay tuned for our next interview, where another expert will be sharing her unique point of view about redesigning and living your life on your terms. See you soon. Bye for now.